आज हम इस वीडियो में मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट वन लीनियर ऑन प्लांट किंगडम करेंगे जो कि नीट और क्लास 11 के लिए है।
So let's start our video. Point number 1. Plant kingdom include which type of organisms? It include multicellular autotrophic organisms. Autotrophic means that they can make their own food. Next point. Vascular plants are also called. They are also called tracheophytes. Next point. What are a group of chlorophyll containing thalloid, autotrophic plants of the simplest type without true roots, stems, leaves, or leaf like organs? It is called algae. Next point. Algae are placed in which division of two kingdom classification? It is placed in Thallophyta. Next point. Red algae are also called as. It is also called as Rhodophyta. Next point. Brown algae are also known as. It is also known as Phaeophyta. Next point. Green algae are also known as. It is also known as Chlorophyta. Next point. What is the main photosynthetic pigment of all multicellular algae? It is chlorophyll A. It is present in leaves. It is useful in trapping sunlight to produce food for plants. Next point. What is the pigment red in color which is present in red algae? It is R-phycoerythrin. Next point. What is the main storage product of red algae occurring in the form of granules in the cytoplasm? It is fluoridine starch. Next point. What is the male reproductive organ called? It is called spermatogeum. Next point. A very simple structure which bears a single one-celled uninucleate non-motile male gamete is called. It is called spermatium. Next point. What is the female reproductive organ of red algae? It is carpogonium. Next point. What is the brown colored carotenoid present in brown algae? It is fucoxanthin. Next point. What is the useful product extracted from the middle laminae and cell wall of Ascophyllum? It is alginic acid. Next point. What was the first algal antibiotic? It was chlorelin. Next point. Chlorelin antibiotic was first obtained from Chlorella. It is an algae. Next point. Algae are important tools in investigating many which type of processes. They are physiological processes. Next point. Who are called amphibians of the plant kingdom? They are bryophytes, that is, they live in water. Next point. Why bryophytes are called amphibians of the plant kingdom? They are because they live in soil but are dependent on water for sexual reproduction. Next point. What are the filamentous structures who play the function of anchorage and absorption? They are rhizoids. Next point. Male sex organ of bryophytes is. It is called antheridia. Next point. What is the female sex organ of bryophytes? It is archegonium. Next point. Which moss is the source of coal and used as fuel? It is peat moss and its product is peat. Next point. Plants which contain conducting tissues composed of xylem and phloem are called. They are called vascular plants. Next point. Vascular plants are placed in the division. They are placed in the division Trichophyta. Next point. The most primitive living and fossil vascular plants are called. They are Pteridophyta. In this P is silent. Next point. Roots of pteridophytes are they are adventurous roots that is they travel long distances. Next point. What are the pteridophytes are called in which all spores may be of the same size? They are called homosporous. Next point. What the pteridophytes are called in which two kinds of spores are produced, that is micro and megaspores. It is called heterosporous. Next point. What is the group of pteridophytes called in which extant plants are placed? It is called xylophytales. Next point. What are the members of Sphenopsida are commonly called as? They are commonly called as horsetails. Next point. Geologically, the history of Sphenopsida extends to which period? It extends from Devonian period. Next point. Which is the only living genus of Sphenopsida present today? It is Equisetum. Next point. Ferns belong to which order of pteridophytes? It is Pteridopsida. This is the order and the group which this belongs is Sphenopsida. Friends, in this video I am going to give you about 80 plus questions on plant kingdom. Next point. Ferns are mostly which type of herbs? They are perennial herbs. This means they can grow in any season. Next point. The stem and petiole are covered with numerous brownish scales known as ramenta. Next point. Which plant are soil binders and are used for medicinal purposes? They are pteridophytes. Next point. Ferns are commonly grown in. They are commonly grown in greenhouse and are used as ornamental plants. Next point. After fertilization, seed develops a food storage tissue called it is called endosperm. It is also called female prothallus. Next point. Seed plants without flowers are called they are called gymnosperms. Next point. Gymnosperms originated in which era? They are supposed to be originated from Paleozoic era. Next point. Tallest tree species of gymnosperm in world is it is Sequoia. Next point. Gymnosperms possesses which type of well-developed root system in them? They possess taproot system. Next point. Turpentine resin are obtained from. They are obtained from conifers. Next point. Leaves of which gymnosperms are used in asthma, bronchitis, and for indigestions? The plant name is Taxus baccata. Next point. Ginkgo phytes survive today as a single species, commonly known as they are maidenhair tree. Next point. Which group of gymnosperms in regarded as the most highly evolved group among us gymnosperms? It is genitals. Next point. Who are called the flowering plants? They are angiosperms. Next point. What is the characteristic feature of gymnosperms? It is cones. Next point. What is the characteristic feature of angiosperms? It is called flowers. Next point. When calyx and corolla are undifferentiated, it is called perianth. Next point. Which pollen grains are transferred from an anther to the stigma of the same flower it is called autogamy, or it is also known as self-pollination. Next point. If pollen grains are transferred to the stigma of another flower, it is called It is called cross-pollination. Next point. If cross-pollination has occurred between two flowers on the same plant, it is called deuterogamous. Next point. If cross-pollination has occurred between two flowers on different plants, it is called xenogamy. Next point. Mature seeds without endosperm are called non-endospermic seeds. Next point. Seeds which retain endosperm even at maturity they are called endospermic seeds. Next point. The process of development of mature embryo from diploid zygote is called embryogenesis. Next point. Plants which obtain their food in ready-made form from other living organisms are called parasites. Next point. Living organisms from which parasites obtain their food are known as hosts. Next point. Parasites which draw only water and minerals from host plants but make their own food are called partial or semi-parasites. Next point. Plants which grow and obtain their nourishment from dead and decaying organic matter of animals and plants are called saprophytes. Next point. Seeds having two cotyledons and reticulate venation are called dicotyledons flower. Next point. Seeds having single cotyledon and parallel venation are called monocotyledons. Next point. Life cycle in which main plant body is haploid and bears haploid gametes in the gametarium it is called haploidtic life cycle. Next point. Life cycle in which diploid sporophyte is the dominant photosynthetic independent phase of the plant it is diplontic life cycle. Next point. Who is known as the father of botany? He is Theophrastus. Next point. Who is called the father of modern botany? He is Carolus Linnaeus. Next point. What is the classification known which reflects possible evolutionary relationships based on ancestry and descent? It is phylogenetic classification. Next point. Having male and female organs on the same plant but on different branches is called autoecious. Next point. A unique feature of the flowering plant wherein a male gamete fuses with two polar nuclei resulting in the formation of the primary endosperm nucleus that give rise to the endosperm. It is called triple fusion. Next point. In the moss life cycle, the sporophytes consists of a fruit, stalk and a capsule. Next point. In which plant sphaerophyte is completely dependent on gametophyte? It is Rickettsia. Next point. In which group would you place a plant which produces spores and embryos but lacks seeds and vascular tissues? It is kingdom or group Bryophyte. Next point. The development of a sporophyte from the moss gametophyte without sexual fusion is called amphimexis. Next point. Red algae differ from green and brown algae in having no flagellated stages in their life cycles. Next point. Pteridophytes differ from bryophytes in having They have vascular tissues. Next point, aquatic plants have a well-developed parenchyma system. Next point, insectivorous plants live in soils that are deficient in nitrogen. Next point, in the most life cycle, the gametophyte consists of leafy green shoots. Next point, the most recent ancestors of vascular plants were green algae. Next point, the embryo sac of an organism is made up of seven cells and eight nuclei. Next point, the main reserve food material of class Chlorophyceae is starch. And the last point, a seed is a mature ovule. Thanks for watching the video.